The business comparison chart, I want to focus on two things. One, liability, which we've talked a lot about already, but that's really the main two reasons people look at, especially at the small business level, is one, my liability protection, and two, what's the tax impact. And we talked about the liability as a lot as we went through it, but again, emphasize basically as you go across from left to right, your liability protection increases. As a sole proprietor, you have none. As a general partner, you have none. As a limited partnership, the general partner has none, the limited partners do. LLCs, they're protected. S corporation, they're protected again on the spectrum there, and you see the differences. And last but not least, taxation. Okay. When you have income from your business, you're subject to potentially two taxes. One is income tax, and one is self-employment or payroll tax, which is the same thing in different form. Income tax, in most cases, is not going to change unless you're a C corporation who has its own tax brackets. If I'm an S corporation or LLC, my income less expenses, that's my net income, I'm going to be taxed as an owner on that same amount in income tax no matter what happens, because that passes through. The question is, how much of that is subject to self-employment tax, or how much should I pay myself as a salary and pay payroll tax? Well, as an S corporation, there's rules out there that say I got to have a reasonable salary, but at least there's some flexibility. So let's say I had $100,000 net income. As a sole proprietor, what do? I pay self-employment tax on that whole $100,000, which is probably roughly about $15,000 to $16,000 of self-employment tax. Okay, I have no choice. As an LLC or an S corporation, I have some flexibility there. It's anywhere from 0 to 100%. Well, I don't want to do 100% because I want to save me some taxes. I probably don't want to do 0 because that's the pig versus hog theory, right? I don't want to be too aggressive or too, you know what I'm saying? So we can have the ability to do somewhere in between. But let's say you just cut that in half. You see the impact that does? If I pay myself a $50,000 salary, I just cut my self-employment tax in half. I cut my tax bill in half. So you have that flexibility. So that's another reason why, yeah, there may be extra cost to buy another return as an S corporation or LLC, but if I can save $8,000, that makes a lot of sense to do that. I think my time's running short, right? Questions on anything that you have in front of you, or any other questions you may have brought with you?
I know we have a very, very large amount of sole proprietors and partnerships in the state of Mississippi. Have you seen any, with the economic times or the liability or the taxes, have you seen an influx of maybe some of those that have been in business for, I've been doing this for 35 years, and now they're becoming an S corporation or LLC or something of that nature?
Well, just from our client standpoint, any of our current clients, well, mainly new clients that come to us, if they're a sole proprietor, we usually change that. Just because of the liability, because of the nature of our society, and two, because of the potential tax impact. And yeah, it costs a little more to file a separate return and everything like that, but if they're making any kind of money at all, now if they're not making very much, or if it's just more like a hobby and it's not really much of a business or not showing much income or loss, then it's really not worth the effort. But if they're making over $20,000, $30,000 consistently, then it makes sense to do that. But you do see it mainly from the liability standpoint. You just get that extra liability protection just because of our nature of our society these days.
Do you think people originally think, like you said, I just want to start a business, and that's why they do sole proprietor, and then realize maybe the implications or the liability and say, okay, maybe I need to check into that?
Some do it just because, well, I'm not sure if this is going to work. Let's just see what happens with it first. And if that's the case, but if they make any kind of money, at all, especially consistently, one, from liability, and two, from a tax purpose, you definitely want to look into doing something formally.